All right, hey, good morning. This is Noel, and still working on getting going for the day. Uh, I kind of jumped up and just started going. Got some kind of bug. I don't know what it is. Uh, we were watching a kid for I don't know day or two, and I think he may have brought something over. I don't know. I don't usually get sick, but whew. But we're gonna continue on. So today's Mark 5 and 6. Yeah, I can turn the page. So I'm going to jump right into here and get some of that to blow away. All right, here we go. Mark 5. They went across the lake to the region of uh, Gerasenes. I have no idea. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an evil spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot, and he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs, in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High? Swear to God that you won't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you evil spirit." Then, when Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on a nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to get into them, or go into them." He gave them permission, and the evil spirits came out, went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down a steep bank and into the lake, where they drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this to in town and the countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw a man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those uh, who had seen it told the people. Goodness, rough night. Um, okay, those who had seen it told the people what happened and to the demon possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon possessed, begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and begged to tell, or gosh, and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. When the disciples had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a crowd gathered around them and while by the lake. Then one of the synagogue rulers named uh, Jairus, I don't know, came there. Seeing Jesus, he fell at his feet and he pleaded earnestly with him. "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she may be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. Have to keep the old boy running there, you know. Whew. Um, a large crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet, instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. Excuse me. I have to get this thing going in the right direction here. There we go. Okay. And once Jesus realized that power had left or had gone out from him, he turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" You see, you see people crowding against you. That is, his disciples answered, "Yet you can ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace, be freed from your suffering." While Jesus was still speaking, some men came from the house of uh, Jairus. Jairus, I don't know, the synagogue ruler. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Ignoring what they said, Jesus told the synagogue ruler, "Don't be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue ruler, Jesus saw commotion with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep." They laughed at him. After he put all of them out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, uh, I don't know, Talith Comb or something, which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately, the little girl stood up and walked around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this and told them to give her something to eat. Hmm. All right, Mark 6. Jesus left there and went to his hometown, accompanied by his disciples. When the Sabbath came, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were amazed. Where did this man get these things? They asked. What is this wisdom that he has been given? He does. He even does miracles. Isn't this the carpenter? Isn't this Mary's son, the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Aren't his sisters here with us? They took offense at him. Jesus said to them, "Only in his hometown, among his relatives, and in his own house is a prophet without honor." He could not do many miracles there, except lay hands on a few sick people and heal them. He was amazed at their lack of faith. Then Jesus went around teaching from village to village, calling the 12 to him. He sent them out two by two and gave them authority over evil spirits. These were the instructions. Oh, yeah. Take these instructions. Sorry, here we go. Take nothing on your journey except a staff. No bread, no bag, no money in your belts. Wear sandals, but not an extra tunic. Whenever you enter a house, stay there until you leave that town. And if any place will not welcome you or listen to you, shake the dust off your feet when you leave as a testimony against them. They went out and preached that people should repent. They drove out many demons and appointed many sick people with oil and healed them. King Herod heard about this, for Jesus' name had become well known. Uh, some were saying John the Baptist has been raised from the dead. Um, and that it was a miraculous powers, and that is why miraculous powers are at work in him. Others said he is Elijah. Still others claimed that he is a prophet, like one of the prophets long ago. But when Herod heard this, he said, John, the man I beheaded, has been raised from the dead. For Herod himself had given orders to have John arrested and to have him bound and put in prison. He did not. He did this because of Herod's of the sorry Herodias, his brother, uh, Philip's wife, whom he had married. For John had been saying to Herod, "It is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife." So Herodias nursed a grudge against John and wanted to kill him. Okay, let me pick this back up. But she was not able to because Herod feared John and protected him, knowing him to be righteous and holy man. When Herod heard John, he was greatly puzzled, yet he liked to listen to him. Finally, the opportune time came. On his birthday, Herod gave a banquet for his high officials and military commanders, and the leading men of Galilee. When the daughter of Herodias came in and danced, she pleased Herod and his dinner guests. The king said to the girl, "Ask me for whatever you want, and I will give it to you." And he promised her with an oath, "Whatever you ask, I will give to you, up to half my kingdom." She went out and said to her mother, "What should I ask for?" "The head of John the Baptist," she answered. At once the girl hurried in to the king with a request. "I want you to give me right now the head of John the Baptist on a platter." The king was greatly distressed, but because of his oath and his dinner guest, he did not want to refuse her. So he immediately sent an executioner with orders to bring John's head. The man went, beheaded John in prison, and brought back his head on a platter. He presented it to the girl, and she gave it to the mother. On hearing this, John's disciples came and took his body and laid it in a tomb. The apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going, they did not have even a chance to eat. He said to them, "Come, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." Man, what an invitation from Jesus. Come with me by yourself to a quiet place and get some rest. Yep, yeah, yes, please. Um, yeah, I would love that invitation, right? So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But many who had saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When Jesus landed and saw the large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them. By this time, it was late in the day, so his disciples came to him. This is a remote place, and they said, and it's very late. Send the people away so they can go um, to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat. But Jesus answered, "You give them something to eat." They said, "That would take 8 months of a man's wages. Where are we going to where are we going to go and spend that much on bread and give it to them?" "How many loaves do you have?" he asked. "Go and see." They found out. They said uh, five and two fish. So 5 loaves and 2 fish. Then Jesus directed them to have all the people sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in the groups, hundreds, uh, in groups of hundreds and fifties. Taking with taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves, and he gave them to his disciples to set before the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of bread and fish. The number of men who had eaten was about 5,000, or was 5,000. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to Bethsaida while he dismissed the crowd. After leaving them, he went up on a mountainside to pray. When Jesus came, when Jesus came, sorry, when evening came, the boat was in the middle of the lake, and he was alone on land. He saw his disciples uh, straining at the oars because the wind was against them. About the fourth watch of that night, he went out to them, walking on the lake. He was about to pass by them, but when they saw him on the lake, they thought he was a ghost. They cried out because they all saw him and were terrified. Immediately, he spoke to them and said, "Take courage. Do not. It is I. Do not be afraid." He climbed into the boat with them, and the wind died down. They were completely amazed, for they had not understood about the loaves. For they had not understood about the loaves. Their hearts were hardened. When they saw he had crossed over, they landed in Gennesaret or something like that, and anchored there. As soon as they got out of the boat, people recognized Jesus. They ran throughout that whole region and carried the sick on mats to wherever they heard he was. And whenever he went into villages, towns, or the countryside, they placed the sick in the markets, and uh, to they begged him to let them touch even the edge of his cloak, and all who touched him were healed. Like sometimes we make it super complicated, and man, these folks had faith in like with had faith with limited knowledge of only hearing of things that Jesus had done around their region. I mean, like, sorry, it's just unreal. Yeah, faith to be healed by, you know, if you could just touch, a piece of his clothes. How simple is that? Um, yeah, and I already mentioned the, uh, you know, come with me by yourselves to be quiet or to a quiet place and get some rest. I mean, I don't know. I think that would do a lot of us a lot of good. But sometimes we need, like that direction or permission, even like to stop everything else and, and do that. We had this pastor years and years ago um, that would go on these like silent retreats or whatever. And at the time, like, I'm like, how in the world do you do that? But it was like some old like monastery type place or whatever. That I don't know. It was like a retreat place, I guess, at that point. But um, and it was like I don't know however many days you wanted to stay, but just silent. Um, you know, that's kind of what this reminds me of. I always like at this point think of the luxury of going to a place where there's no you know technology, cell phone, computer type stuff, and um, for years, several years, a group of guys I, and I would go to northern Minnesota to the Boundary Waters for a week, um, and uh, you're so far out there that your phone doesn't work anyway. Um, so you just turn your phone off and forget it. I mean, even regardless of how bad you may want to check something on there or call somebody or whatever, it's not going to work. Um, and at first, like you turn it off, or you get like to a place where like okay, phones no longer work, and there's some like a little bit of you know oh gosh, I don't have this anymore, or this isn't going to work. Um, but that quickly goes away. Like that's that, and once you can put that away and and then settle into you know being okay with quiet and being okay with like resting without having to get on something to play with. uh it really starts to restore you inside. um and you just think like there's not many people anymore at this point that take any one day off from all this stuff, much less a week or more. Like, um, it's crazy. Um, Yeah. But this my Mark 5 and 6. So um, yeah, take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid. I really that's I know it applies. He's talking to the disciples. So he's walking on water, but you know I think there's moments where we all um, you know get stressed or fearful or whatever place that um, we need to hear that from Jesus. Uh, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was really good this morning. So I gonna get ready for a regular work day now and do some puppy work for a little bit and go to work. Yeah. Hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you back here tomorrow morning. All right. Bye.